In the winter of 1692, in a small Massachusetts village, two young girls started screaming. They convulsed. They saw things no one else could see. And within a year, 19 people would be dead. One man crushed beneath stones, and a village would tear itself apart, hunting for witches that never existed. This is the story of why it sucked to be accused of witchcraft in Salem. To understand what happened in Salem, you have to understand what kind of place it was. Salem Village, not the wealthier Salem town nearby, was a farming community of strict Puritans. People who believed the devil was not a metaphor, but a constant, literal threat to their souls. It was also a village quietly falling apart. Neighbors feuded over land boundaries. Families resented paying taxes to a distant town church they felt no longer served them. And a new, more worldly, trade-driven economy in nearby Salem town was beginning to threaten the old Puritan way of life. Piety and subsistence farming giving way to money and commerce. All of that tension, land, money, religion, resentment, was sitting quietly under the surface of Salem Village, waiting for a spark. In January of 1692, two young girls in the household of the village minister, Samuel Parris, began acting strangely. 9-year-old Betty Parris and her 11-year-old cousin, Abigail Williams, screamed, contorted their bodies, and complained of being pinched and bitten by invisible hands. A doctor was called. Unable to find a physical cause, he offered the only explanation his era allowed him. The girls were bewitched. Modern historians still debate what really happened. Some point to a treatable illness, some to childhood boredom or trauma in an unbearably strict household. Others suggest something stranger. Ergot, a fungus that can grow on rye grain, capable of causing hallucinations and convulsions eerily similar to what the girls described. We will likely never know for certain, but the village didn't wait for certainty. Under pressure, the girls named names, and the first 3 accused were, tellingly, the village's easiest targets. Tituba, an enslaved woman in the Parris household. Sarah Good, a homeless beggar. Sarah Osborne, a sickly, elderly widow entangled in a land dispute with her own family. None of them held any real power in the community. All 3 were exactly the kind of people no one would defend. Here's what most retellings leave out. This wasn't just fear. For some, it was opportunity. A local family named the Putnams, one of the wealthiest and most influential in the village, filed or supported over 100 of the accusations that followed. Their own daughter, Anne Putnam Jr., became one of the most active accusers in the entire crisis. Historians who've studied Salem's land records have found a striking pattern. Many of the accused were landowners, widows who'd inherited property outside the usual male control, or people locked in ongoing disputes with their accusers. Being an independent woman who owned land, like the twice-widowed, sharp-tongued Bridget Bishop, was in itself dangerous. It meant you existed outside the control others expected to have over you. Fear of the devil was real to these people. But fear is also useful, and in Salem, it quietly became a tool for settling old scores and acquiring new land. By May of 1692, so many people had been accused that the colony convened a special court just to handle the cases, the Court of Oyer and Terminer. Literally, to hear and to determine. And the trials that followed relied on something almost impossible to defend against: spectral evidence. Accusers claimed they could see the accused spectre, an invisible spirit form tormenting them, even while the accused stood physically still and silent in front of the entire court. There was no way to disprove an invisible attack no one else could see. If the court believed the accuser, you were guilty the moment you were accused. Bridget Bishop was the first to be tried and the first to hang in June of 1692. Despite the fact that no witness ever proved any actual harm, only spectral claims and old gossip. 18 more would follow her to Salem's Gallows Hill before the year was over. Not everyone accepted the court quietly. One case, more than any other, exposed exactly what the trials had become. Giles Corey was an 81-year-old farmer, accused alongside his wife Martha, who had made the mistake of publicly doubting the girl's visions. Under the law at the time, a person had to formally enter a plea, guilty or not guilty, before they could be tried at all. Corey refused to say either word, not out of fear, out of strategy. If he was never formally convicted, his farm couldn't be legally seized by the colony and taken from his family. The court's answer was a punishment almost never used in the colonies: pressing. Corey was laid down, and stone after stone was placed on top of him, the weight increasing each day until he either spoke or died. For 2 days, witnesses say, he never entered a plea. His only recorded words, again and again, were simply, "more weight." On September 19th, 1692, Giles Corey died. The only person in American colonial history executed this way, having protected his children's inheritance with total silence until the end. By autumn of 1692, doubt was finally spreading faster than fear. Influential ministers began openly questioning whether spectral evidence should ever have been allowed at all. Governor William Phips, whose own wife had reportedly been accused, finally dissolved the special court in October. By 1693,
the remaining prisoners were released, and the panic that had consumed the village for over a year simply stopped, almost as suddenly as it began.
But stopping the trials didn't undo what had been done. 19 people hanged. 1 man crushed to death. Families shattered. Land seized. Reputations destroyed forever. Some of the accused weren't formally cleared for centuries. The very last convicted witch, a woman named Elizabeth Johnson Jr., wasn't officially exonerated until July of 2022. 330 years after her conviction. So, when you picture Salem, don't just picture pointed hats and cauldrons. Picture an elderly widow who owned land someone else wanted. Picture an old farmer who said nothing so his children could keep their home. Picture a village so afraid of the devil it never noticed how easily fear could be pointed at whoever was inconvenient, poor, or simply alone. That's the real story of why it sucked to be accused of witchcraft in Salem. Not devils and magic, but neighbors, fear, and the terrible things ordinary people will do when no one is brave enough to say, enough. If you want more deep dives into history's darkest true stories, subscribe to SuxToBe. The next one's already waiting.